Everyone at Miami Metro thought Dexter Morgan was harmless, quiet, awkward, invisible. Everyone, except one man. James Doakes didn't need evidence. He didn't need proof. From the moment he looked at Dexter, he knew something was wrong. This isn't a story about how Dexter was caught. It's a story about how one man saw through the mask and paid the ultimate price for it. This is Dexter and Doakes, the most dangerous rivalry in the series. Doakes wasn't like the others at Miami Metro. He wasn't fooled by charm. He wasn't distracted by small talk. As a former special ops soldier, Doakes had learned one thing above all else. When someone doesn't react like a normal human being, there's a reason. Dexter didn't flinch. He didn't panic. He didn't feel. To everyone else, Dexter was awkward. To Doakes, he was empty. From season 1, Doakes watches Dexter closely. He notices how Dexter appears at crime scenes calm, focused, detached. Where other detectives feel anger or disgust, Dexter feels nothing. And Doakes hates that. He doesn't joke with Dexter. He doesn't bond with him. Because predators don't bond, they observe. During the ice truck killer investigation, Doakes' instincts sharpen. He notices how Dexter is always one step ahead, always present, but never fully involved. And that's when suspicion becomes obsession. Doakes doesn't believe in coincidences, and Dexter Morgan is one massive coincidence. What makes this rivalry so fascinating is this. Dexter follows a code taught by his father. Doakes follows instinct, experience, and gut feeling. And the terrifying truth, instinct almost beats the code. Doakes gets closer than anyone ever does. By season 2, Doakes stops pretending. He follows Dexter. He tracks him. He watches him. This is no longer professional curiosity. This is a hunter recognizing another hunter. And for the first time in the series, Dexter feels threatened. Here's the most chilling part of Doakes' story. He never needed proof. He didn't stumble onto Dexter by accident. He recognized him. Because it takes one killer to recognize another. Doakes didn't know Dexter's full secret, but he knew enough. When Doakes finally corners Dexter, the power dynamic flips. For once, Dexter isn't in control. And that terrifies him. Because Doakes represents something Dexter cannot kill easily. The truth. Doakes doesn't lose because he's wrong. He loses because he's alone. No backup. No support. No one willing to believe him. And that's the tragedy of James Doakes. The only man who truly saw Dexter Morgan. And lived long enough to regret it. Doakes was never the villain. He was the warning. And if anyone at Miami Metro had listened, Dexter's story would have ended very differently. So the question is, was Doakes doomed the moment he trusted his instincts? Or was he the only real hero in Dexter? Let me know in the comments. Everyone saw Dexter Morgan as harmless, quiet, polite, invisible. He brought donuts to work. He avoided confrontation. He stayed in the background. But James Doakes never bought the act. From the very beginning, Doakes looked at Dexter and felt something was wrong. Not suspicious. Not odd. Wrong. This wasn't jealousy. This wasn't professional rivalry. This was instinct. And in a building full of trained detectives, Doakes was the only one who trusted his. James Doakes wasn't just another cop. Before Miami Metro, he was Special Forces. That matters. Because soldiers are trained to read people under pressure, to spot hesitation, to recognize emotional absence. Doakes had seen men who had crossed lines and men who learned how to wear masks. And Dexter Morgan wore one perfectly. Dexter didn't react the way normal people did. He didn't tense up at crime scenes. He didn't look away. He observed. To everyone else, that was professionalism. To Doakes, it was predatory calm. That's why Doakes never joked with Dexter. Never bonded with him. Never let his guard down. Because predators recognize predators. And Doakes doesn't accuse Dexter of anything outright. Instead, he watches. He watches how Dexter inserts himself into investigations. How he knows things he shouldn't know yet. How he's always present at critical moments. Doakes doesn't understand what Dexter is. But he knows Dexter isn't normal. And the most unsettling part, Dexter knows Doakes sees him. That mutual awareness creates a quiet tension, one that never fully explodes. But never disappears either. This is where their relationship becomes psychological warfare. During the ice truck killer investigation, Doakes' suspicions intensify. Dexter is emotionally connected to the case in ways no one else understands. He's drawn to it, obsessed by it, and Doakes notices. Dexter's calm cracks just slightly. To most people, it's invisible. To Doakes, it's confirmation. The more Dexter tries to stay hidden, the more Doakes leans in. Because Doakes doesn't believe in coincidence. And Dexter Morgan is surrounded by them. What makes Dexter and Doakes so fascinating is this. They operate on opposite systems. Dexter follows a rigid moral code taught by his father: rules, rituals, control. Doakes follows instinct, experience, and raw intuition. Dexter plans. Doakes senses. And instinct is harder to fool than logic. That's why Doakes gets closer than anyone else ever does, without ever knowing the full truth. By season 2, Doakes stops pretending. This is no longer casual suspicion. He follows Dexter, tracks him, studies his habits. This isn't obsession. This is recognition. Everyone saw Dexter Morgan as harmless. Quiet, polite, invisible. He brought donuts to work. He avoided confrontation. He stayed in the background. But James Doakes never bought the act from the very beginning. Doakes looked at Dexter and felt something was wrong. Not suspicious, not odd, wrong. This wasn't jealousy. This wasn't professional rivalry. This was instinct. And in a building full of trained detectives, Doakes was the only one who trusted his. James Doakes wasn't just another cop before Miami Metro. He was Special Forces. That matters. Because soldiers are trained to read people under pressure, to spot hesitation, to recognize emotional absence. Doakes had seen men who had crossed lines and men who learned how to wear masks. And Dexter Morgan wore one perfectly. Dexter didn't react the way normal people did. He didn't tense up at crime scenes. He didn't look away. He observed, to everyone else. That was professionalism. To Doakes, it was predatory calm. That's why Doakes never joked with Dexter. Never bonded with him, never let his guard down. Because predators recognize predators. Doakes doesn't accuse Dexter of anything outright. Instead, he watches. He watches how Dexter inserts himself into investigations. How he knows things he shouldn't know yet. How he's always present at critical moments. Doakes doesn't understand what Dexter is. But he knows Dexter isn't normal. And the most unsettling part, without ever knowing the full truth, Doakes senses. And instinct is harder to fool than logic. That's why Doakes gets closer than anyone else ever does. Doakes didn't need proof to feel that something was wrong. From the very beginning, Dexter didn't behave like everyone else at Miami Metro, and for someone like Doakes, that was enough to raise alarms. While others saw Dexter as quiet, polite, and harmless, Doakes saw the gaps. The lack of emotion. The way Dexter observed people instead of reacting to them. This wasn't shyness. This was control. In season 1, Doakes constantly tests Dexter with subtle insults, sudden confrontations, moments meant to provoke a reaction. And every time, Dexter responds the same way: calm, distant, almost rehearsed. To Doakes, that calm wasn't innocence, it was a mask. What made Dexter even more suspicious was his perfect timing. He always seemed to be around crime scenes, or just missing when things went wrong. Not enough to accuse him, but enough to bother someone who trusted instincts more than paperwork. By season 2, Doakes' suspicion turns into obsession. While everyone else focuses on the Bay Harbor butcher investigation, Doakes focuses on one man, Dexter Morgan. And here's the irony: the closer Doakes gets to the truth, the more isolated he becomes. No one believes him. No one supports him. And Dexter knows exactly how to use that. Dexter doesn't fight Doakes directly. Instead, he lets Doakes self-destruct. He stays calm while Doakes grows louder. He stays polite while Doakes grows aggressive. And slowly, the narrative shifts, not as Dexter hiding something, but what's wrong with Doakes. This is one of Dexter's most dangerous skills: not killing, but manipulation. By the time Doakes finally uncovers Dexter's secret, it's already too late. He's lost his badge, his credibility, his allies. And that's the tragedy of James Doakes. He wasn't wrong. He was just alone. Dexter didn't beat Doakes with strength. He beat him with patience. And in the end, the man who trusted his instincts more than anyone else was destroyed by the one person who never let his instincts show. What makes Doakes stand out is that he never needed evidence to sense danger. As a former special ops soldier, he was trained to read people in their posture, their silences, the things they avoid saying. And with Dexter, the silence was always louder than words. Dexter didn't joke like the others. He didn't vent. He didn't react when crime scenes got disturbing. To most people, that looked like professionalism. To Doakes, it looked like someone who had seen worse and wasn't bothered by it. In Season 1, Doakes openly tells Dexter he doesn't trust him, not in secret, turn on notification not behind his back, right to his face.